to show how to make a press fit box. And the advantage of doing this is that you can create a tolerance so tight that the box will fit together without any glue. And this can be done with a number of shapes. This tutorial, I'm just going to keep it simple and make a box. And you're going to start with a three-dimensional box, and then we take the pieces and we lay them flat so they can be laser cut. Now there are tools online that will auto-generate things like this. So the reason to do this is so you can learn how to do it and apply it to more complex shapes, or you simply want more control over how the box looks. So I'm going to start with a new file, and I'm going to start in front view, and I'm going to begin by adjusting my grid. So I'm going to right click and go down to grid options. I'm going to go to my units first, and I'm going to work at inches. You can apply this technique to any thickness of material. I'm going to use an 1/8 of an inch thick. So when I go back to my grid, I'm going to set my minor grid line every 1/8 of an inch, which is 0.125. I'm also going to set my snap spacing to the same, 1/4 inch, or sorry, an 1/8 of an inch, 1.125. I could apply this to 1/4 inch, 1/2 inch, so on. And then finally, I'm going to do a major grid line every 8 minor grid lines. Inches are broken down into 8 16ths, 32nds, 34ths, whatever. So you'll usually want to divide this by some number that makes sense with the inch. So I'm going to do 8. Close that up. Next thing I'm going to do is zoom in just a little bit. I'm going to define my layers. So I'm going to have the default layer be, I'm going to call it front back. I'm going to call layer 1 left right. I'm going to call layer 2 top bottom. I'm going to call layer 3 laser. So this will be the layer in which I can put my pieces to cut. So I'm going to start on the front back layer, start with a rectangle, and I'm going to draw it from point 0. And again, I could go any size. I'm just going to do a 3 by 3 by 3 box. So 3 for my length, 3 for my width, and then I'm all set with that shape. Now I've got to create the tabs. Now the tabs are an 1/8 of an inch thick. That means that when I draw them, I want to cut away a section but leave a section that's 1/8 of an inch long. Now in terms of the width of these, they can be whatever you want, right? I'm just going to do one major set grid line set as my width. And I'm going to do the same thing here on the bottom of the shape. And I'm going to do the sides as well. And, oops, again, the width of the tabs, also sometimes known as teeth, is up to you. All right. Now all I want is this central shape. So I'm going to do a curve boolean. I'm going to select this entire shape. I'm going to do delete input all and click inside region to keep. So I'm going to keep the central region. I'm going to hit return. Now I'm going to go back to perspective view. I now want to make this 3-dimensional. So I'm going to do an extrude curve. And I want to make sure that solid is checked and that both sides is not checked. And I'm going to just drag off into the distance, 0.125, which is 1/8 of an inch. And at this point, I'm going to switch over to shaded mode so I can see the shape. All right, so there's my first side. Next thing I'm going to do is do one of the left-right sides. So I'm going to switch to the left-right layer. I'm going to go to front view. Nope, sorry, right view. And I'm going to draw my second shape. I'm going to shut off my front back for a moment while I do this right side view. And I'm going to start the same way, starting from location 0 with a rectangle. Go 3 for my length, 3 for my width. And this time I'm going to do the tabs again, but I only have to deal with the top and the bottom, and you'll see why in a second. So I'm going to create same width tabs on the top and on the bottom. All right, and I'm going to do the curve boolean just like before. Select these curves, hit return, region to keep, hit return. Now, turn my front and back on and go back to perspective view. I want to make this three-dimensional, so I'm going to do the extrude curve. Oh, I was on the wrong layer. Let's just switch layers real quick. Alright, now here we go, extrude curve. And I'm going to extrude it here off to the right, 1/4 inch, 0.125. Alright, now I've got my first two sides, but you can see that the surface of my left-right side is overlapping the tab or tooth of the front back side. So now I'm going to use a Boolean difference to negotiate that. Alright, select surface to subtract from, that's my red surface. Subtract with, the gray surface, hit return, and now the tooth has eaten away from the slot and these two pieces are complete. Alright, now I need to make this into a four-sided object, so I'm going to select these two shapes I've made, and I'm going to use the blue rotation arc that's part of the gumball to both duplicate and rotate these. So I'm going to push the Option key to duplicate. I'm going to click on the rotation gumball and I'm going to type in 180. And now I've got my four sides. I have to do the Boolean on two of the corners again. So that's a Boolean difference. Subtract from the red, subtract with the gray. Come to the other side, let's do the same thing. Subtract from the red, subtract with the gray. I now have my four sides complete. I'm going to go to the top and bottom layer. Right? I'm going to shut off the left, right, front, back, and I'm going to go to top view. I'm going to draw the final side, starting the exact same way with a rectangle, location 0, width, length 3, width 3. Now I can go and turn these layers back on, go back to perspective view, and I want to make this three-dimensional in the same way that I did the other ones with the extrude curve command. Select the curve. I want to go up. Now I was on the wrong layer again. Make sure that I'm on the top and bottom layer, and then extrude curve. Select my curve and go up 0.125. Now I'm going to do a Boolean difference on the bottom. Select the surface to subtract from. That's the purple surface. Subtract with 1, 2, 3, all four sides. And now you can see that my bottom piece is done just like that. I didn't have to draw any of the tabs. Now I want that same piece on the top. So I'm going to select the bottom piece, making sure to get the poly surface and not the curve. And I'm going to use the copy command. I'm going to copy from the lower corner, the very lower corner of the purple surface, and I'm going to bring that up to the top of the red surface, and then hit return. Okay, so now I've got all the sides. Now there's some lines that aren't visible on the bottom that are visible on the top. You could leave those. I'm just going to flip the surface over so that everything looks the same, and I do that just by clicking here on the green arc of the gumball or the red arc and just typing 180 and flip that surface over. So now all sides look the same. Now I'm ready to set this up for laser cutting. So I'm going to just move, since I like to draw from the origin, I'm just going to move the entire box off to the side. And I'm going to open up my laser layer. And I need a surface to kind of represent the material that I'm going to put in the laser. So let's just assume I'm going to put in a 12 by 12 piece. So I'm going to start drawing from point 0, and I'm going to make a square that's 12 by 12. It's more than I need for this particular shape, but it's a good size to work with. Now I need 3 of these sides so that I can lay them flat. The reason I only need 3 is because, remember, every 2 sides are the same. And I'm going to use a command called dupe face border. And so I'm going to start with this gray side, and I've duplicated the border, so I'll just move it away so we can see that. And then with the space bar, I'll repeat that command, and I'll move this curve away, and hit space bar again to repeat the command, and I will have the top. So now there are my 3 sides. I need to get those 3 sides onto this flat surface. So 2 of them should be rotated. And so that can easily be done just with the gumball. If you hold down Shift, I can lock it so that it's really easy to just turn it at an exact 90. Right, and then of course I don't have to rotate the top. And then I'm going to use the move command to move these. Grab them by the corner and then just move them somewhere onto the rectangle. And if you're laser cutting, you want to be conservative with your material, so you want to kind of put things close together. So once they're on there, I wouldn't recommend them touching, but putting them close together is a good idea. And I usually don't have them touch the edge either. You could even get them more precise than this. Now the final step before I'm able to laser cut, at this point I don't need my box anymore, so I'm going to shut that off, is that I need to be able to extend these tabs a little bit, and that's what actually makes them fit tightly. And so I'm going to go to top view, and there are total of 6 tabs here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I don't have to worry about these slots. I'm only worried about these tabs or these teeth. What I have, the magic number is 0.0075. And so what I have to do is I'm going to use a command called move curve. And I click on the side of the tab, and I just choose either one end or the other as my starting point, and I drag it. But then after I drag it, I type in 0.0075, and then I have to click the mouse, and it sets it. So do you see how we're not at the grid line anymore? We've extended that tab just a tiny bit. All right, now we're going to do that same thing with the other end. So we're doing move curve, selecting the side of the tab or tooth, clicking at the top, and dragging it to the side, 0.0075. We're going down rather. All right, and then I have to click the mouse to set that, and now both ends of that tab have been extended. I'm going to do one more for the tutorial here. I can hit the spacebar to repeat the command. I grab that curve. I'm going to move it from the end. I'm going to move it 0.0075. Click with the mouse to set it. And I've got to do it on the bottom here as well. Click on the tab. Move it from the top. 0.0075. Click with the mouse to set it. All right, now I would have to do that to 4 more tabs if I were going to laser cut this, but keep the tutorial short, I'm going to stop it there. What I am going to do though is say that for the final step I need 2 of each of these pieces, so I would take the entire set, and then with the option key I would just use the gumball to duplicate the 3 pieces. And now this is ready for laser cutting, and you can move on to the instructions about laser cutting.